Good evening, everyone. Episode 19 of The Treat Show. We've got a full house tonight. I am super excited to invite our special guest, Jenny from Dutch Botanicals, tonight. And we've got OG Tyler back in the studio.
I'm here.
We're ready, guys. Thank you so much for watching and supporting our show. All right. So before we dive in with Miss Jenny, I'd like to give a proper introduction of Dutch Botanicals. You've been on a couple of our other favorite podcasts, The Adam Dunn Show and Dark Horse Genetics. How's it feel, Miss Jenny, to be blowing up in the industry?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me over here. The whole thing is kind of new to me, and I think we really appreciate all the podcasts, the media, and all the hosts that can help us out, and also help us to build a community together.
So important. It's interesting because tonight we're actually preparing. Dutch Botanicals will be coming on over the next. It's not next Sunday, is it? Is that the 17th? I think it is actually next Sunday that we'll have Dutch Botanicals and the crew come on. But tonight is I want to talk to Jenny a little bit about the industry and Colorado's market and how important it is that we really stick together at this time because it's been a rough year.
Oh, it is.
I think there's a lot of discouraged companies out there and a lot of discouraged growers and breeders that really see this coming to an end. And I hate to put it like that, but I keep hearing it that the cannabis industry is not a good investment or that we're seeing these numbers really fall down as far as sales and things like that. And I see Jenny with Dutch Botanicals actually really promoting and pushing a connoisseur group and a connoisseur, I'm going to say it, but the Connoisseur Club is coming out.
Totally.
And we're going to touch on that. And I think it's so important that there's people like you really pushing for this.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Do you see anything, Jenny, that you think like with your brand particularly, I don't want to dive too deep right off the bat, but like where you guys have even seen a change in this last year of just like the amount of like marketing and following of people that you're gathering, I guess, compared to the previous years? Do you think it's a little bit less than prior?
Well, to be honest with you, I think this year is pretty tough for everybody in this industry. And everybody, not only for the manufacturers, not only for the growers, but also for the community, for our customers as well. We do feel the recession in the economy, and especially with the local Colorado state. Well, some other big structure hasn't been changed, hasn't been dived in for this industry, and we have to stand up as all the companies, and we will have to work together. We do lots of collaboration, and we develop lots of product line. So if you notice that Dutch Botanical has been developed connoisseur product line, serve the connoisseur users for Colorado market, and also along with it we have an affordable line, and that affordable line doing pretty good during this recession time.
When I think Jenny and I met, it's been a while back now. And when I saw your first beginning phases of the cultivation facility to how far you've come now, though, do you think when you first put together your business, and don't, if you don't want to answer any of this, you just let me know. But putting together your first like proposal, for instance, of your business plan to the numbers and margins back then to having to adapt after a build out, after expenses, after expanding and doing all these things, was it difficult for you to adjust to, like, I hate to say this, but was it part of like your worst case scenario to see where the market is now, just as a business across the board? Is it more intimidating to you, you think, now being a part of the cannabis industry than when you first started?
Well, Dutch Botanical is a very specific case.
Yes.
When I first came to Colorado to take over this business from a mess, it was no less challenging at that time. Wow. So actually this year, it was a great time for Dutch Botanical. We already established our really solid team. We already know what we want to do. We do living soil grow. We do live rosin as our main concentrate. So we know what we do, and also understand the local economy. And I think we know what the majority customers, consumers are looking for. So we focus on our specialty, which is connoisseur, and also we try to develop something for the market to wait for our customer to be ready to jump into connoisseur product line. So actually, this year is much better for Dutch Botanical than some previous years.
So I like to hear if you do it right, you can stay in forever.
Thank you.
I think it's so admirable that some of the packaging. I'm so sorry. I actually left my jar tonight, and it's because I use it all the time. Is the jars that you've actually come up with in the packaging is so exceptional. I know a lot of people are doing like the black jars and really nice fonts and things like that. But to me, your jar came onto the market, and not only was it a very exceptional way to display your cannabis, but it was a really good jar to actually reuse for other products like that have nothing to do with cannabis.
Totally. Actually, I brought you a jar today.
I'm so excited. Thank you so much, Jenny. So spoiled. I definitely want to show this bad boy.
Thank you so much. This is our original design.
I'm going to steal the camera screen for 1 second, guys. I'm sorry. But I just want to kind of show. Let's go over here. Oh, come on. We got a little lag. I'm sorry, guys. I just want to show how beautiful this really is, though. This one's the white jar. From my understanding, Jenny, you have a pink jar, like turquoise, kind of soft blue. Mm-hmm. And then what is your...
This is that blue jar.
Oh yes. That's the light blue one.
Let me get Tyler. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tyler.
OG Tyler, doing it right. So I just think the amount of detail in the jar itself is just so gorgeous. Can you tell us a little bit more, Jenny, about how you actually came up with this design and why you chose this for Dutch Botanicals?
As a female business owner, we got to bring something special to the community, and having something that functional, along with nice looking, and present the culture and let people. Keep this jar for more functional consumption later on. That's the goal of coming up with these beautiful jars. So far we have released 3 different jars. What you're holding right now is the original jar. So that one, yes, that one get our logo, our Dutch Botanical theme, and yeah. And that's a limited edition. We are not making anything like that later on. So those are definitely, we only have 500 in Colorado, and we'll keep those 500 as they are. So we are not making any more. I know that lots of our club members, lots of our customers, they already start to collecting those.
Really?
Yes.
Because you get the OG connoisseur drop. If you really think about it, then you're, like you said, you're doing a limited count. So if you were able to even score this jar, you're going to keep it forever.
I think people use it for some other purpose as well. I heard that they reuse it for flour. Definitely for curing the flour, this is the best.
Wow.
This is the best. It's made of porcelain and also airtight.
It has such a nice seal on it.
Thank you. And what you're holding right now is the second design. So that second design, I think, come with 6 colors. We have dark blue, light blue. This is a light blue. Oh, it matches your fingernail.
You see that, OG Tyler?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And also we have teal. Teal is very popular in the market right now.
Oh.
Yeah, yellow one and pink.
I love the pink.
The pink one, yeah. Lots of lady, after they use the flower, they use it for jewelry.
So I have to admit this guilty pleasure that I did use your jar to fly is I actually flew with some of my favorite jewelry and some of the things stored in there because it actually keeps them safe.
Mm-hmm. Cool. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, the best packaging. The best packaging for any products is let the customer find a way to reuse it, not to throw that away. I think for cannabis industry, we have created too much packaging waste.
So with that as well is I see a lot of companies right now, like, and I hate to use some of these words, but thirsty for having a clientele. So they've almost convinced themselves that marketing is the largest key component to their business. They think that if they put something in a fancy package and they charge a lot more money, then that's going to put them superior amongst everybody else as far as competition. But what I think is like so valuable and so respectable about brands like yourself is that you're actually taking something and you're complementing your flower. Is you're not, to me, you're not selling your product because of the jar itself. Is you produced a very valued and cultivated product that deserves to be represented properly, and that you're standing out with your flower alone and trying to really give it that complimentary feel versus trying to convince people to just buy it because of the aesthetics of the jar.
Well, thank you so much. Something about Dutch Botanical, we are a pretty new brand name for Colorado. It's been a while, for maybe a couple of years, but the whole product line and the marketing and everything is still, comparing to some other local brand, is very new. So having the great very presentable packaging along with the products. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, this is so fancy. And match the jar.
So nice, Jenny.
Cool.
Thank you.
And using absolutely beautiful jar packaging, got to be very careful. As you have this packaging, people will come to the shop. They will shop for the packaging, for sure, I think.
Absolutely.
For the first time. And if they try the product and the product is not up to the standard, the presentable level of the jar, people will remember it forever, and they will remember, oh, this is a packaging. This is a packaging company instead of a connoisseur cannabis company.
Yes.
And it's so funny that High Time, I think one of the VP of High Times, they discovered this package really appealing. And they wrote an article, and at the article beginning, they were talking about, oh, this is a very nice jar, and we don't know what's the quality of the products in it. Let's try it out. So everything starts from nice packaging, and whether or not the products can match that level. That's a key part for a cannabis company.
I love to hear you say that because it's so important. OG Tyler, do you have any inputs on just this particular subject with packaging itself amongst the brands that you work with and see?
I mean, I know packaging plays a huge part in the consumer, like wanting to try things. I know I love Mylar bags. I know a lot of people don't. I know a lot of people like jars, but I'm a Mylar bag guy because I like to look at images on a bag. It's something cool for me because I was into like trading cards growing up. So collecting cards or collecting, like I used to collect like strain labels that I would get when I first got my med card into like 5 or 6 years and having it, like I would collect things. So I understand where it plays a part, but I think probably 90% of packaged cool products sucks. So it's like finding that like small percent that's actually good.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it's just smoke and mirrors, but that's just like what cannabis has become now.
It's about culture. What kind of culture that you are part of and how you want to present it in a great way. Talking about packaging, culture, design, and also what kind of strain cannabis products linked to it, that play a huge part. And also thinking about business part. Packaging is a very tricky part. Thinking about our cannabis products in Colorado, we have retail tax,
high
over, tax, over cannabis. Have you thought about all the packaging actually get charged as cannabis tax?
Yeah, where it's included
Right?
in that lump. You're absolutely right. Yep.
Right. And when for a company, we have the packaging done, so we already pay the tax once we purchase those. No matter coming from international market, you need to pay for the tariff. No matter coming from another company, you need to pay for some other business tax. But once you have the cannabis products in it, done, 28% in the city of Denver.
28%. So
Yeah.
so
Right?
that's one thing too that people talk about New York, Chicago, all these other states, and they talk about it like we don't have some tax margin like some of these other places, which I know maybe 35% or whatnot, but we are still getting hit for a long time at those margins.
Right. And thinking about all that for the company that commit and willing to put high cost,
Yeah.
high quality, nice presented packaging is a commitment not only to the culture, not only to the products, but also to to the customers through all those business setup.
It gives me goosebumps to hear you say that because I think a lot of people don't understand if you're say when you're starting with a cultivation facility is you're having at the very beginning, say you don't have wholesale connections yet, you don't have a brand established, and you just exactly
That's a disaster.
is you have all these expenses constantly going out, and you have this dream, right? You have this goal that you're trying to achieve, and that's the only thing that's really going to drive a person at the end of the day. But when you start really dialing in, like you said, who chooses to really invest in their brand fully is I don't think people recognize and identify the fact that when you're buying packaging for the first time is you're usually in the negative. And I'm not saying because you're not doing well is like your initial investment. You're having to buy a bulk order. And I think that commitment, just like you said, and the expense going into it, if a person really doesn't care about their product and how it's displayed and they're just trying to make a quick hustle, they're not going to put that expense out there and they're not going to put the attention to detail. Versus when you see the companies that really do pay the $10 a jar and like with their stickers and with all these things.
Totally.
I think people need to understand that that's what they're desiring. I think that's what consumers are looking for. But they also are looking to pay $50, let's say, $50 for an eighth of weed used to be the average. And now we've got it down to $15 an eighth. And so when you look at these things, it's really sad as a unit, like you said, and as a culture, because I want our consumers to know that when you're really investing in a connoisseur line and you're really producing your production as best as you can with your overhead of just your employees and your staff and your cure times and harvest times, all these things, there's such big battles that I think nobody really identifies. So when somebody comes in and is just constantly trying to get weed for the cheapest amount and they nitpick like the trim job or they nitpick the strains or whatever that is
Totally. Every single details come with the price.
yes.
As a business owner, as lots of business owners in Colorado market, we all want to do a spotless job.
Yes.
That's our goal and that's our commitment. That's why we sign up in this business.
Yeah.
In talking about the real scenario, we have to pick, the priority.
Yeah.
Some company, they run, this is their strength. They try to enforce that and try to stay in business. And for Dutch Botanical, definitely design in two product line kind of having us in a very good position for right now. So we are not panic
Oh wow.
to cut corner or to get some situation to jeopardize the connoisseur product line. So our cash flow through the affordable line really supporting us. Do lots of R&D on connoisseur product line as well. As R&D is absolutely expensive.
Yeah.
As you need to spend lots of time, lots of work hours, and lots of products to go through R&D. But definitely, if anything that I want to put up front to our community for Dutch Botanical is we are not only a cannabis company, we are a technology company. We are a technology startup company that apply technology. and invite the big technology company into cannabis world.
Well, and I think Jenny's done such an exceptional job as a female. Honestly, I admire Jenny so much because she's come in to this industry and had a very large. You have a very large facility. It's not a small facility, and you built it out in phases. And like, I mean, naturally, just with the plants. But I think like watching that growth even amongst your staff and expanding into these rooms is some of the obstacles. I'll just use bugs, and I'm not saying your particular company at all, but I'm saying everybody's kind of at risk constantly for this being present, and or you have somebody on the staff that's growing at home and cross contamination happens. Do you think that there was some obstacles that for just some other entrepreneurs out there that are looking at getting in this business, or do you think there's some things that you really didn't see coming along your journey as obstacles that you kind of hit that you, I don't know, that you would look back with hindsight and be like, maybe I would do this differently, or maybe I wouldn't do this at all when you were actually designing some of these products?
Very good question. Actually, Jay and I met when I first came to Colorado.
So nice.
And at that time, I was struggling. I mean, I'm still,
I love
learning.
I love that.
And back then, I didn't know that much about grow. I didn't know that much about living soil grow. I didn't know that much about hybrid hydro. Everything was new to me, and I just had one thought in my mind that cannot give up, cannot fail, right?
Yeah.
And along the way, I have learned a lot as a business owner, as a grower, as a processor, as a facility designer, as an engineer.
Yeah.
So I have learned all those going through. If any suggestions that I could put out there for some other business owners, maybe in other states or maybe in Colorado State, I would say number one is the team. Number one is the team. Definitely you need to show your team that as a business owner, you care. You care to the level that all the details need to be met to the SOP. And we are building a system.
Yeah.
And when I recruit my team, I told them that big ego is something that we don't want to have in a team. So we got to keep learning, keep adapt to the new technology, to the new market. And I think I'm very lucky to have my team very solid, move forward with me. And with the right team, I think making the right decision for the business owner is crucial. There are so many different ways of grow. All the pros and cons, all the different method, all the different budget level, all the different market target. So as a business owner, you need to learn everything from your grower, your professional team, and then you need to make a very business savvy decision.
Well, and I've seen you, Jenny. Like one thing, and again, if we don't want to talk about this, but it was something that really stood out to me from the moment I met you. Is that Rare Dankness? When I was there, is we were one of the first companies to actually work with Gavita Lighting back in the day, and they did our grow was the first commercial grow that they had ever installed those fixtures at. At the time, it's funny because LED is the new rave, but at the time, everybody wanted Gavita. And I saw you come in when we first did meet, and you were like, I am working with Gavita, and I'm getting ceramic pieces that actually hold the fixture and the lamps in place instead of the metal that they previously had, which people were having issues with. And when you actually came up with the decision that you had made to make them ceramic pieces, and you actually sourced and had these manufactured for you,
Totally.
I was like, who is this woman? Like, who comes in and is like, I just want this different and I'm going to make it happen? Jenny.
Well, thank you for reminding that moment. Yeah.
How did even something like that come about, Jenny?
Okay. That's thank you. Thank you so much for reminding me that. Yes, back then there are so many other things that I need to pay attention as well. But building the facility and building it right, that's the number one priority, especially with safety.
Yeah.
The reason that we came up with ceramic is to prevent the arc happen when we first turn on and turn off the lights.
Beautiful.
So that could prevent the fire
Yeah.
hazard. Yes. And we hold the U.S. patent for it. Thank you.
That's a boss babe move.
So yeah, I'm an engineer. So when I think about that part, if I think, oh, this would cause fire down the road, or the light bulbs can fall.
Yeah.
Once the double-ended metal pieces, when they get melt down, it will fall.
That they'll actually slip out because you're twisting in those lamps.
Yes.
And it would actually loosen the piece.
Right. If there is arc happen very often, yeah, that part will get melt and it will fall, and it can cause fire.
And see, with those things, because before I asked Jenny a couple more questions as far as her engineering side is, I just wanted to touch on that because Jenny's facility okay, so when somebody's outfitting their rooms, say I have a small grow room at my house and say it's 5 or 6 lights, hypothetically. But when you're doing these commercial facilities, you're looking at, doing 50 lamps per room on average, or more or less, give or take. So your scale is very, very large. And when you're looking at these vegetation rooms or flower rooms with your staff safety, like you said, these are serious issues that I've worked at other companies that I won't say, but where we had situations where, or one that everybody knows is Jungle Boys. Jungle Boys actually had gavitas and the rolling bench trays, and because of the plastic that they use for the rolling benches, is one of their lamps burst and it caught their room on fire because the lamp fell on the plastic.
Totally.
And it goes up so fast that people don't realize.
Yes.
And so I think for you to come in as a female, and I'm sorry, but and be that innovative and think that's so far ahead, though, when you're actually building out a facility for the first time, you were already so precautionary and just thinking so many steps ahead that I think a lot of business owners, is not picking on anybody, but I think that those things don't even come to thought for an average person.
We learn as we go. I think as more business owners look into safety issues, look into quality, look into the products itself, I think more and more this kind of things will get, like the fire hazard, it will be avoid, and definitely can be eliminated later on. As we grow, this industry is still very young.
Very young.
In Colorado, we say that market is saturated, but it doesn't mean that technology is saturated or matured. We are still developing it and learning about it.
Well, and I think that's a frustrating component, I think, both ways, where you spend all this money getting a room outfitted, and then 3 years later, everybody's like, let's do LEDs. And it's like, sweet. And I think that when you're dropping, it's really hard not to fall into those traps, though, as I think, as technology does progress, is it's really easy to go to the grocery store and see, the newest hype thing for sale, versus when you're looking at the things that really make or break your business is HPS. Everybody grew with a triple X back in the day, and they, old school ballasts, they were super hot, but they got the job done. They were great lights, honestly. Mm-hmm. But then we evolved to the double ended, and now we're doing the LED things. I'd say for the last 2 or 3 years, where now everybody's switching out. But I haven't personally seen, and I'm not going against LEDs or anything, is I see these plants respond differently to every type of light I've ever ran them under, CMH to, all of it. Mm-hmm. And I think that you're grabbing different terpene content from some of them. You're grabbing different yield numbers from others. Did you actually switch out your facility, Jenny, from the double-endeds, or did you stay on that side?
We get the whole facility already swapped to LED. We've been R&D LED with that manufacturer.
Wow.
For about a year and a half, and we definitely feel very comfortable. We look into pros and cons. We look into the terpene profile. We look into all the other factors with a couple of room, and finally we swapped all to LED.
Did you see with those pros and cons? Did you see what did you see from that, Jenny? Did you see some things that you were like, everybody should really do this? Or did you see some things where you're like, my yield is a little down?
Okay. Tyler is here.
I know. I know. Sorry, Tyler.
Yeah. Tyler is the expert on hash.
Yeah.
And he's making hash right now. And I think LED would make perfect sense for the facility that focus on hash.
Yeah.
Terpene level is definitely high, and the terpene, the character of the plants under LED lights is just as authentic as it could be.
Wow.
As terpene is water soluble, so if the room temperature is really high or the canopy temperature is really high, terpene can go along with the water.
I want you guys to have a moment because you're bringing up the hash as well, and because OG Tyler is such the master in this area. It is, I think. Do you think, Jenny, that your company is more? I don't want to say more because you do produce a beautiful flower, but are you guys very focused on the rosin and the solventless extraction? Being like, you're like, I really want to stand out with this. I want people to only smoke this rosin.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
I think for Colorado market, we need to do really good with flower, and also we need to step on and do really good on rosin as well. A couple of reasons. Number one, if the rosin is good, the flower should be good. There's no such a logic that the flower is really shitty.
It's true.
And you can get a really good rosin. There's no such a thing. So in order for you to have a really good rosin, flower harvest, and the hash making process, everything need to be spot on to come up with really good rosin, the good quality. And talking about our community, our cannabis community in Colorado market, we have customers that they are not ready for hash.
Yeah.
They stay with flower. They can do a little bit hash here and there, maybe a little hash hole in here and there, but they're not ready.
More like mixed in.
Right. And the highest that they could go with would be our Power Puff, which is water hash infused flower. So it's still presented as a flower, but it gives extra terpene and THC percentage on the flower. That would solve the problem that some of our Colorado customers that you keep hearing that they will tell you that normal flower wouldn't bring them high.
Yeah.
So with Power Puff, that's a great way to accomplish that.
That little extra where you're giving them a little bit more potency that would naturally come.
Right, and still is smokable products. It's not something that you need to dab. And on the other hand, we have Colorado, we have lots of hash lover.
Yeah.
And as they build out more tolerance, their consumption rate keep climbing up. That's the whole purpose we come up with Colorado Connoisseur Club. And I really appreciate today, as of this moment, when I look into Instagram, we have lots of club members online and watch this show. So in that Connoisseur Club, thank you. And I want to thanks to all our club members. They've been very supportive, give us really honest feedback, and it's a subscription base.
Wow.
So the strain, and we usually the job would be 8 grams of living soil live rosin or an ounce of pre-packed flowers.
Gosh, that's so nice.
And they can go to the dispensary. We'll let them know what's going to be a job, and they will say yes to subtract that, and then they can go to the dispensary to pick those up. And the packaging will be very interesting. Get their name, Colorado Connoisseur, let's say Louis, and yeah, that's a great connoisseur user experience. They love it.
So the Connoisseur Club, because I think we have a lot of connoisseur listeners and a lot of local people to Colorado. Is where can they go, Jenny, to get signed up for this club or to find out further details? We'll definitely talk about it more, but
where to get those? It is we need to register first, so we need to collect all the information about the name, where do they live, so that we can develop dispensary to serve for the convenience for our club members. So if the customers get into the Instagram and try to look for a Colorado Connoisseur Club, I know it's hard to spell.
Connoisseur gets everybody.
We'll see.
It took me a while to get that
Trust me, I feel the same way. I'm like, is it S-U-I? Damn it.
And nowadays my cell phone can remember that word.
I love it.
Yeah. So if you go to Colorado Connoisseur Club, and we just build out that Instagram handler, and
Excellent.
you can definitely text message us. We got lots of information there, and also the website link will be published over there.
I'll put the links on our show today, and then I'll start putting them on my Instagram as well.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
No, thank you so much. Okay, with the Connoisseur Club, though, is Jenny with her engineering. Jenny came up with the coolest, most mind-blowing thing that I have ever seen.
I know what you're talking about.
I'm so excited. One day we met for coffee, and I was sitting at the coffee table this entire time.
That's my favorite coffee place at church, at community church.
At the
right?
community church, yeah. We weren't smoking in the parking lot.
No, we didn't.
But Jenny had this thing sitting on the table the entire time that we're just casually talking. And it was so funny is because at the end of it, I was like, Jenny, is that your water bottle? And she's like, no, let me show you.
Oh yes, beautiful, right?
Yes.
That's what we call dab cooler. It looks like a water bottle. It's like this big and this tall.
Almost like a Yeti.
Yes.
Like just a standard Yeti water
Totally.
bottle.
Yeah. And it's a device that you can keep your concentrate in and with the USB connection. So you can hook up to your cell phone battery, your car charger, your laptop, your cell phone charger, and keep the whole dab cooler to 34 degree. And also it comes with the auto shut, the safety function.
Really?
So hopefully, we're going to release to Connoisseur Club first.
Lucky.
Let our Connoisseur Club members to enjoy those. And hopefully we can get those at 710. At 710, yeah.
I know Jenny was working with Cookies in Florida.
Yeah.
Is on doing a collaboration with this actual design.
We are thinking about get the wet labeling on that part. Still working on that part.
Still working. Well, I think that's the thing though, is everybody is going to want this. Like everybody needs to sign up for the Connoisseur Club just to get this water bottle cooler immediately.
Oh, I love it. As an engineer, I feel like this is something really innovative, and it served the products to the point. And we can fit ounce jar, right? We can fit 4 ounce jar in that bottle,
So
that cooler.
if they actually have the buckets instead of just the individual grams, they can stack those 4.
There's a cylinder in it. There's a cylinder in it, and you just need to push your jar into that cylinder and using the silicone finish to close it up. So the silicone finish, that device would keep the moisture outside.
So it's not even precipitating by your hash. You're gonna have that on the outside of your water bottle versus on the inside.
All the jars will keep inside.
Oh, so nice.
And the insulation between the cylinder and the outside of the water bottle, that's another layer of insulation to keep the temperature low.
OG Tyler.
That's cool.
That's awesome, right?
Yeah.
I'm proud of that product line. Next round, when it comes to Colorado,
Yeah.
I have the manufacturer making it, and I did some the dabbing
Mats?
mat. Yeah, so that you can put it's a silicone, so you can fold it and put it into the water bottle in between the insulation. So when you put it out, I made it blue color.
Yes.
The blue color, and when you put it out, it will be a mat. You can just put it on top of it, and you can put your beautiful hash over there. And if it's a 9-gram jar, you can fit 6 in it.
Wow. I feel like that's the bougiest way when you like show up all these like smoke events that like or glass events that I've been to in the past. Like everybody, if you're coming in sloppy, you're garbage at these events. Like nobody wants to smoke your stuff if you don't know the classy etiquette.
Oh, you need definitely. You spend how much that people spend on the good
17.
quality of live rosin?
Oh, I mean, I know how much I spend.
Come on.
Yeah, I mean, I'll spend like $14 to $1,500 for an ounce of rosin.
So if
So
15,
50 a gram.
yeah, okay, 1,500 per ounce, right?
Yeah, 1,500.
And
per,
if we
yeah.
put 4 ounces, that will be $6,000 worth of products. So you spend this much of money to get a DAP cooler, and it can keep your products in a good condition for $6,000 worth of products. I think
Right.
that's a great investment, especially for all the states in the south, and also for the summertime for us, even Canada. I think, yeah, people would love it.
And for people who like water hash, and they want their water hash to stay like really stable,
Yeah.
and don't want it to grease up, and want to like be able to show it off to different people.
Oh yes.
So that's a good thing for that. Keep that.
Yeah, for water hash, the temperature and also humidity level,
Yeah.
and that thing will definitely keep in a good shape.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Have you tried it with flour, Jenny? Have you tried to put some nugs in there?
Flour, I think it will be really good for, especially for power puff
Yeah.
infused. Flour, I haven't pampered my flour that much.
The only reason
that could be a really
Yeah.
good one.
I mean, flour that I want to save, I'll like vacuum seal the jar, and then I'll put it in the fridge, just to keep it cool.
Totally airtight.
I just noticed in like when we went to Hawaii is like everything is so humid there, like you're saying, like so the cannabis is like you take it there and it just gets so hydrated so fast. It's amazing because we live so dry here, but then you go there and it's just a sopping hot mess.
Airtight jar like this jar. If you travel with, and another beautiful thing about the DAP cooler, you can travel with it. With cell phone battery. We have a bag that you put that cooler in it, and there's a small bag attached to it. You can put your cell phone battery there, so you can hook up your cell phone battery for hours. It will keep 34 degrees. You can travel. You can go hiking to the mountain, and then take it out and still enjoy the beautiful state of life rosin.
Gosh, that is so nice, Jenny. I think, and it was so discreet. The coolest part that I loved about it is I was like, man, if you got your car searched, they would never see this.
right? Especially in Colorado, summertime,
Totally.
sunshine will destroy some degree of the live rosin. So with that DAP cooler, we don't have to compromise with the weather condition.
I love
It's totally under our control.
And with Jenny, because your quality, and I'm so sorry I didn't touch on this like first thing, but your quality is it does stand out. And I've noticed in Colorado that, we get shit on all the time. It's like amazing to me, but everybody raced here to like learn and do all these things and like came in hot 10 years ago, tanked our market. We went from like making good money to terrible money, all these fluctuations, and then they all just left, right? Like as all these other states legalized, like everybody seems to like abandon ship. And it's weird, but I've noticed that all these other states and all these other people will be talking shit on Colorado, right? They'll just be like, the weed is bad there, the hash is bad, like what is good? and it's amazing to me because there is these companies out here though that get overlooked, and I hate to say it, but sometimes with like the gossip or the rumors is like I get frustrated because I'm like, there is people out here that are crushing and doing a beautiful, beautiful job. But with Living Soil, your company specifically is Verde Naturals. Is everybody had really trusted them for a long time. They had this community trust on just quality flower and organically grown cannabis. And I think that I'm not going against Verde at all, but they've went through transitions and business transitions themselves. And I think I haven't seen them as sought out as in the past. And when I see your company though, is you're doing Living Soil and you have raised beds commercially, which I've seen Verde get a lot of attention for it, but I don't think a lot of people understand that you're actually doing this on a commercial scale and you are doing Living Soil in raised beds. Would you mind if we expanded a little bit more on just like how you're actually running your operations as far as the living soil so that people can understand what that really means in the quality of your product.
Cool. I really appreciate the compliment. And I think I just want to mention that for us to establish Colorado Connoisseur Club actually is a commitment to the community, and also is a self-check thing for Dutch Botanical team as well. It's in order for you to say we provide connoisseur product line, flowers need to be spot on, and that's challenge over the seasons, right? We have summer, we have winter, we have 4 seasons. And how could we keep the quality over the whole year and still provide? As you call it connoisseur, you cannot run, any less, right? And also the same thing for the rosin. And the way that we look, especially I think as a business owner, when I choose to go with living soil SOPs, I think that's the future of the cannabis. That's the for lots of grocery shopping, like the Whole Food store, that's the current. People in even young generation, they cannot build the health awareness while they go grocery shopping. And when they adapt into cannabis product market, they would look into the same kind of concept as long as they are educated and they know. Lots of growers in Colorado State, they only stay with living soil because of the nutrient, because of the natural way. I would say thousands of years ago, there's only one way of growing cannabis. That's living soil. That's the natural way. That's the Mother Nature, right? And what we do here is just try to commit to that quality and keep doing things. And again, that's how we picture Dutch Botanical. We are not only a cannabis company, we are a technology company. If there's any challenging things that we need to figure out and we need to educate the community, I hope that's something that Dutch Botanical can stay on top of it and try to do a good job on that part.
Wow, you do seem to do such a good job at doing and maintaining that. I think the sustainability, like you're saying, between the harvest and the variations throughout our obstacles throughout the year with climate and all kinds of things is, I see a lot of companies in the past that people will be really psyched on. They'll get really into, and it seems like once they drop one bad harvest, and I'm not picking on any of them because I think we can all say that we've ran into stuff, and there's a lot of business owners, I hate to say this, that would love to like just throw away their cannabis sometimes and just whatever, but they've got $60,000 in overhead a month or $100,000 in overhead, and they're like, I can't do this no matter how much I'd want to do this. And
totally.
Russet mites, this is weird, but russet mites I've seen annihilate gardens. And now the new phase that I hear everybody talking about is HLVD. I've worked with Fusarium and HLVD for years, and now it seems like it's gaining popularity because people are starting to actually identify it with research and development. But I think the reality that nobody keeps talking about, though, is that these things are very difficult on a commercial scale. And when you have multiple employees, like you want to talk about cross-contamination battles and like in how thorough somebody will actually complete a task, like when it comes to cleanliness or any of these things, is I think it's really sad, though, because say somebody follows a company for 3 years and then they have this one bad batch, then everybody's like, oh, I'm done with this. And they'll never give them another chance, or they'll kind of dabble back in years later. But I think that something that people need to understand is like, don't give up on your brands. Like, they need your support. They need you to go through those trials and tribulations with them. Is like, even if you have critiques, I think, like, just like you said, that you're open to your feedback from your customers. That's something that is really rare. I think that you're like so proud of your line and committed to your line, though, that you're open to these feedbacks. And I'm not saying that there's been anything like that that's ever happened to you, but I think it really is the most admirable thing for a business owner to do, because sometimes I think shit happens. And I think that people should really, instead of just X-naying something, this is a living plant. You do have a lot of factors going into it. And I think that we got to stick it out with the people that we really believed in from the start.
Totally. That's a great question, and that's a very good point. we are very careful about cross contamination.
Wow.
Because of that, we were thinking about. I have Colorado, one of the big tour company, and they want to learn about living soil. They want to bring their customers to our site to learn about living soil cultivation and here and there. And we really want to share the knowledge with our customers and also some out of state guests as well. However, after I sit down with my team, they see nothing but concerns. And I do understand that part, as the grow team, how can we secure the cross contamination? That part, and because of that, we had to put that project on hold. So yes, it's a challenging point across the board for all the grow facility.
To not let people come in and tour or it's weird, but a lot of people ask. I know in general they want to
Totally.
see it, and sometimes I'll even hear them say like, oh, they don't want me to see it because they have problems, and it's the opposite, just like you're saying, is they can't risk jeopardizing if you went to a facility before or even plants
Or even
outside.
plants.
Yeah.
Even it's just natural plants. You can
Yep.
bring in something that you don't even know to the commercial facility, and that's the part. I think as long as the team really care about what they do and they secure the facility, the best interest. I think as a business owner on that point, I listen to my team and I support them 100%. And I was thinking, as a computer engineer before, I was thinking about some sort of AI. That the customers can just wear a glass or wear a device, and we can just take them virtually to the
So
room.
cool.
That would be something cool that they can experience the living soil grow from distance, from remote.
I think that people would love that. Kind Love did something at their store years ago, just on the retail end, where they were trying to kind of replicate like a similar concept. It wasn't exactly like that, but I think there's so many people, like, it's funny, but with podcasts are getting really popular, and I see a lot of growers right now doing like how-to videos and like tutorials on, cloning or whatever it may be. But I think if people could actually see how a cultivation facility operates, like what you're saying, like their actual 8-hour day is
If you want to learn, or if you want to know what's going on at the grow or some other facility, I can talk about it. Yeah, every single day, every single batch, every single process is, we follow SOP, but still there's something that different. There's always something.
aspergillus. I know this is a weird one, but parts per billion compared to parts per million is I see a lot of companies where this has been a tanker, and I hate to say this, but for everybody in the last couple of years is I hear other states, they'll mention that they have parts per billion testing, but when you hear these conversations is they've never actually had to go through it, is they know that their state does it or is voting for it or it's moving into that. But they've never actually, we've been doing this now for 10 years with parts per million, and now in the last 4 years we've done parts per billion. And things where they're getting more rigorous, though, on aspergillus, I'm going to say particularly because it is a struggle for every facility I have ever seen, is no matter how sterile, how thorough, how everything is, aspergillus is something that is failing people left and right. And it could be something as simple as when you go to harvest, like if you're not wearing suits, say, per se, and the plants fall on the tray for 1 second, as you're cutting it and one branch falls and you just so happen to take that one branch for samples or whatever that is I think people don't realize that when they're testing these batches is they're testing on average, say, a quarter of cannabis per 20 pounds that come out of that room. And so this quarter is getting tested, and we're all reassured when that passes the testing. We're like, okay, I did it. But I think on a larger obstacle as a business owner, though, is you're paying for these tests, right? The more rigorous they get, the more our testing fees go up. That's like $300 or $400 a batch right there, which is standardized testing, excluding your payroll, excluding your overhead. And if you have a batch fail, say that's your whole entire room, right? That's your whole overhead paid for. This is what you've been waiting months for, and you have the whole test fail, and you're expected to throw that away. And that's what we have to do, compliance-wise, is, Jenny, have you seen where, like, with technology and some of these things, have you seen like just some obstacles as yourself where you're like, what can we do different that is keeping our consumers safe? It's very important. I understand that, but like that is also not jeopardizing these companies to have to make or break a harvest like that.
There are some layers, there are some levels of thinking, I think, as the business owner need to really take in consideration. Things happen.
Yeah.
Things happen. For a business owner, we need to understand a couple of things. If there's a protocol one, that means a disaster happened to the facility. It could be facility equipment disaster. It could be a harvest disaster. It could be a lab testing disaster. It could be a human being disaster. If those things happen, how would you react? How would you keep some sort of cash flow still going through?
Yeah.
Right? We need to design some product line that independent from any of those operational disaster. If anything happened, we still have a couple of key product line still going, still making money. May not be huge, but still keep company moving forward and buy us time to get those things fixed and back to the shape.
It's very
right?
important. Yeah.
So that's the business part. As of lab testing, my dad is a chemist.
Wow.
My son, he graduated from John Hopkins. So his major is bio and chemistry focused. I have talked with them a whole lot about lab testing. I think a whole lot of things need to be done in Colorado. We need to invite more scientists to come into this industry to really help us evaluate what we have done is absolutely valuable. What we have done in the past actually is a kind of redundancy or unnecessary. I'm not saying that currently we are doing lots of unnecessary. I feel like, yes, there's something going on. At least for the business, it need to make sense, need to be affordable, and also make the things flow, no problem.
Yeah.
So I would really suggest the government or any sort of authority look into and respect technology, science, and look up to the professors, scientists to come in instead of some lab testing owners or lobbies to tell us that what need to be tested. This is health focus.
Yeah.
This is science focus. And this is a key part of this industry. And we always say Colorado set up a high standard for the whole nation. Where's the standards at? It's not about tax. Everybody know how to roll out a tax, right? It's not about the terminology. It's about science, technology. What is real in the plan? What is real impacting us? What's the real benefit?
Yeah.
What's the real trade-off? If we put CBD converted in Colorado, it's not legal, but in some other states, if we put CBD converted, that's a chemical or physics, process. What's the impact?
Yeah.
Those things can be very easy to measure for scientists. For the national professional lab, that's the most easy project for them to do. Very easy. It's not like a cancer process. It's not like a research like that. Very, very simple. It's just our attitude.
Yeah.
Have we opened the door to the scientists, to the professors, to come in to our industry, tell us what we have done is valuable, what we have done absolutely is a waste.
See, I love, Jenny, that you addressed that like that, though, is I think we're kind of doing it backwards, in my opinion, is I think that they should be testing your plants before you flower them, right? If you have to throw away a whole run because of the plants, period, is typically I've found that those plants are infected systemically with other diseases, and that's why they'll surface with powder mildew or some of these other things will come up at the end. And I think if there was a way, cost-wise as well as a huge factor in this, but where people could actually provide, I think the state kind of, when I first started in the industry, Can Labs was the only facility here that did testing, and they used to come into your facility and take the samples. And it was because we used to pay $1,000 a strain to have potency just tested, and it wasn't required. It was for marketing. It was if your company chose to really take that route, and the scientists would come in themselves, so you couldn't manipulate your samples, you couldn't do any of these things. And I think from what I've seen though is that these people that are running into obstacles is they're trying to figure out why their plants are failing after the fact, and they're like, is it the equipment I'm using, is it the nutrient lines, is it the medium I'm using, is it all of these things? And there's not a lot of resources that are here to support the grower and the company. Though is like, you can pay these $400 to get these tested and be told that you fail, but you can't pay $400 to get told how you're going to resolve it and how you're going to prevent it and why it's there. And so it's kind of like a weird position, I think, that the state has put us in. And I see where other states are continuing this bad kind of cycle is there's a lot of scientists that I think are passionate about this and offer great knowledge in it. But they've been cut off because of the federal, because it's not legally federally, and they haven't been able to use these resources, at least to the public. Maybe they do it on the DO.
I think you get the point. This is agriculture.
Yes.
This is agriculture. In United States, we get so many good universities, good college,
Yep.
absolutely specified in all this research about agriculture. UC Davis, professors, they get tons of knowledge about those. And those kind of things is nothing new.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
nothing new. It just how we look into, embrace the technology, embrace the knowledge base.
Yes. Do you think organically, do you think that it's been more difficult for you because you're doing living soil? Do you think that some of those things with like heavy metals, and I hate to say this, but like kelp, like for arsenic and some of these other like things that come in products that they're going to make these compounds together in your plant. We have a harvest time that's a pretty short window if you're growing. The cycle itself is say 4 months on average. Is like, I don't know. Do you think that that's been something though that's been very difficult for you, Jenny, to like maintain doing living soil, making sure that you're flushing properly, obviously before your harvest, but where heavy metals itself is a pretty challenging thing between bat guano, kelp, like I said, some of these other products that we're using that are great for the plants, but they're hard to pass testing with.
I think that part, I would say my grow team has really a good experience, and for them to in charge of that part. Currently in Colorado market, in any saturated market, there are two kinds of growers in the industry. One kind, they totally rely on their experience, and they stay with their experience. And another group of growers, they find the good books. They have the experience, and besides the experience, they want to come up with a scientific proof. Why my experience telling me this?
Yeah.
Everything is in the book. Agriculture is nothing new. We've been doing it for thousands of years.
Yeah.
Everything could be found in the book if the professors are not ready to come into the facility. If the public university are not ready to get into the facility, but the book is there. I know my grow team, they look into all kinds of living soil books, and they keep looking into it, and that part would help us to stay on top of the technology.
Wow. I think that it's just so impressive is I've seen so many people switch. And to be honest, I switch a lot of my clients to a sterile hydroponic system because just eliminating pest and disease predominantly. But it is because testing has become so rigorous, and it's just too difficult for most people as short of their cycle time to properly flush and feed a plant that way.
Pros and cons. There's always pros and cons. Yeah. If the grow method could be here for years, that means that there's a value. And if we still have diversity in growing different method, that means every single growing method get its strength.
Wow. OG Tyler, because I leave you out all the time. 'Cause I'm such a
Yeah.
brat. Is
Would you like
I'm
some coffee?
Oh, no, I'm okay.
Would you like anything? I want to ask you first and foremost, and I'll step back for a minute. Is for you to ask Jenny anything that you would like, but real quick while we're talking about this with hash, is hash something that you guys have seen? Just so people know as well, is we're not just testing flowers. You're required to test joints and hash and all these other things. They get double tested essentially. Have you guys seen on the hash side where if you have living soil, once again getting concentrated though, where if they're coming up hot for heavy metals, or if you're seeing it on the flip where hydro grows are coming up?
I mean, shoot, I've seen tons of things come up hot, but to be personally honest, is like a personal thing. I have never noticed a difference between living soil and hydro. That's just my opinion. Now, if somebody like has some really good living soil they want to show me, and like in comparison, then I would try it. But I don't notice a difference.
Love that.
That's a personal thing again. And I couldn't make a comparison between like outdoor or greenhouse compared, I guess. I don't know. I just think good you have good growing practices, and that'll come out in good hash. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of stuff right now is like it's like a race to the bottom, so there's not a lot of good growing practices. So then people are just like, here, we're cutting it down, we're throwing it to hash. And then it's easier to do that because your product looks good, it smells good. People don't know until they smoke it. And by the time they smoke it, they're like, it was cheap anyway, so I'm just going to burn through it.
Totally.
So, I don't know. I mean, if you're getting really, really good hash and it came from a really good grow, it's probably really expensive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's probably really hard to get. You know, in my, and I'm searching through batches now. It's like with me, if I like a certain strain, like I find certain batches that are better than others, and then so now I'm like seeking out batches, right? So it's like a specific thing now.
I love to hear you say that.
Totally. You know, as of the living soil and some other growing method, I was having the same kind of opinion as you had before. And what made me think twice was when I did the purchasing, when I look at the nutrient goes into different method. Like, I think, for example, if we pick up a tomato from Whole Food or from other store, we wouldn't taste different. It just, you know, if I'm not a grower, I wouldn't even notice the difference. It just, when I do a purchase and say, when I look at the nutrient, I say, yes, it makes sense. It makes sense. And for hash part, you may not taste that part for sure. And talking about the lab testing for hash, I think lab testing for concentrate is more reliable than the flower part. For the flower part, there are tons of things can go wrong. But for the concentrate, once it's already go through the heat treatment and some other treatment, lots of things already been cleaned up.
Eliminated from even.
Totally, yeah. In the process, I feel like the grow facility having its own processing facility, that's a great combination of the business profile to have.
See, I love that you guys are saying this though, because it's weird, but it's weird because I grow sterile in hydro predominantly now at this point in my career. But it's weird because I also split my personal grow, and I've done it at commercial grows. Is like I'm a firm believer that certain strains, like the medium, like it sounds really weird, but I've seen certain strains really thrive under salts and hydro climate, versus I've seen other strains like Larry and Kosher Kush and some of these other ones that like that dry back period. I've seen them thrive way more in soil. And so I've tried to make it more customary to the genetics that I'm actually running I understand commercial scale. You can't. It's not the same.
Totally. Thinking about the living soil and thinking about the just like French dishes, foie gras.
Yeah, that.
You can get original foie gras, and they get raised in the organic way, but they are small, right? And the yield is small. It's just a natural way. And also you get a big dishes of foie gras, and it's already industrial processed. Is there anything wrong with it? No. It's just I think it's the consumption habit. For people that they really they want to follow into that natural way, they stay with it.
Yeah.
And for the people that I care about taste, I care about some other factors, I would stay with that. Yeah. Nothing wrong with that part. However, for the natural raised up way, just like our eggs, if it's raised naturally, and if it's industrial raised, or yeah.
Anyway,
the price is different, and it target different customers.
I think that's a huge problem across the United States. I want to say it's just Colorado, but I think it's everywhere. I just love that you say with the price, is because one thing I'm struggling with consumers is we all like breed and we all love that community, and so everybody I'm around predominantly like sells seeds, right? And they're promoting these home grows, and they're promoting everybody to go home and do this stuff. Do not get me wrong, I love the home growers, and I grow at my house, and I've worked on both sides of the market. Love it all. But the thing is we voted for this, right? We voted for this to be legalized, and it's been 14 years in Colorado now, and
wow.
it's crazy to think about.
Wow.
And I was 19 starting in this bad boy, and it's like, and I've seen it change so much though to those initial votings where medical, like the quality in Colorado across the board was beautiful back in the day, and it was because the commercial grows themselves were smaller, the staffs were smaller, the community was a lot smaller. I think, but then now when you see it, I see where the best growers now feel so discouraged because they're like, why the hell would I invest into all this time? Why would I run my strains 12 weeks, 16 weeks, whatever it is,
right,
if everybody wants to pay for $100 ounce? And it pisses me off, to be honest, that everybody's like, grow your weed at your house, grow your weed at your house. Is I'm like, dude, you guys voted for all this shit. We're all like spending a shit ton of money to participate in it and try to get away from the black market. And now everybody's promoting the black market. And I'm like, listen, like if you want to smoke your own weed, that's great. But you still need to go to stores, and you still need to support brands and companies that you like, their quality and their genetics that they offer. Because I'm like, you guys are going to be the first to tank our state, Colorado, is if everybody just wants to grow at home and brag about like, oh, I only buy weed from my homie. And it's like, well, sweet. Then why the hell did you guys all vote for this? Because if we're all going to just buy weed from our homies and be proud about it, then why the hell is there 450 licenses that spent over $1 million to participate to sell you weed? Please tell me that. Because I think it's really becoming a problem now for business owners, honestly. I've been chasing this dream for 14 years of owning my own dispensary, and I've had investors, and I've had all these different business deals of $5 million to $10 million just to step into this industry. And it's like, and really create something, a license, a retail store is $3 million on average to buy. And then a commercial grow is another $1 million over here. And then you got to have your overhead and your employees and all this stuff. And it's like, and then you hear somebody like brag about, oh, I go to Timmy for weed. And it's like, dude, that's awesome. But why am I going to spend $5 million that I have to pay back to sell somebody weed, hoping that I make the cut for you to buy my $35 eighth? And it's like, I don't think consumers, and I don't mean this disrespectfully to anybody, but I think it's very backwards now that everybody is promoting it. I just see where everybody's bashing on the pre-rolls, everybody's bashing on the quality of weed in Colorado, everybody's bashing on these things, but then it's like you really need to support the stores. You really need to support these brands. You have to get out of that mindset of thinking that quality can't be grown commercially, because that is what everybody wanted. And they wanted to see bigger. I remember when Rare Dankness came about, everybody was like, this is going to be the best weed ever. And nobody was talking shit on their quality. And they were a 60,000 square foot grow, first ones to do it. And nobody was like, I'm not going to buy weed from there because it's 60,000 square foot. Everybody was a line out the door to buy the weed. And now I see where this mentality is shifting, and I think it's dangerous. I think it's dangerous that people in the industry are feeding into it themselves, where they're like, I just grow my weed at my house. And it's like, well, how is everybody going to sustain for reals for the next 50 years across the whole United States, at least? Is like, how are we going to sustain as a business? And why did we move this movement so forward and so aggressively to make this dream happen for so many of us, to now just be sitting here and being like, oh, weed is done. It's cheaper than cigarettes. Forget it.
I really appreciate that comments. I wish I have the answer. The industry that has developed in the way that we have in Colorado is showing us lots of things that we have done in the past. What we are facing now today is not something that we are doing today causing it.
Yeah,
It's
you're
what we
right.
did in the past, good or bad, shape us into this kind of market.
Yeah.
And as a business owner, as Colorado facilities, companies, we are doing micro adjustment based on every company's profile. But overall, how can we build a powerful and healthy community
Yeah.
in cannabis industry in Colorado? That's not the industry, the business alone can do. And I really appreciate the way that you call for our customers to look into supporting our cannabis industry. And I really appreciate our connoisseur club members.
So important.
So important to show the support, and so important to show us their feedback, and we learn from them about the market, about the new technology, about anything that we roll out to the market. Now let's look into a couple of things that moving in a very positive way in Colorado. Colorado market, I think more and more customers are looking into terpene rather than THC level.
Yeah.
Right? So that's
Which is
great.
huge.
That's a great achievement. When I travel to other states, people still read literally into the THC level. Does it matter? It matters in a certain extent.
Yeah.
But for connoisseur customers, 16% of THC flowers can get you high, no problem. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a bad person to ask about that because I'm like,
There he
I don't want
goes.
no weak weed. So
I don't want no weak weed.
I don't want
He likes
16%
that
weed.
Skittles. Don't let him say that shit.
Yeah, I mean, but
It's a
but it
strain.
doesn't get me high. That's what I'm saying. It tastes good, but it doesn't get me high. So that's really like, I want potent weed, and potent weed is not normally 16% most of the time. Now, it's weird because like really, really good hash seems to be within a range of like
80%.
like not even like low, like
70.
sometimes it can be in like 58 to like 68. Like it's like within this weird range. So I don't. It is weird, but I do want a potent product. Like I'm just not all in it for flavor. Like I get it. Like flavor is a really good thing, and that should be a huge topic. But like we need. Sometimes it's like what I see is it's profits over potency.
Yeah.
Like I want a potent product. I want something that is going to get me,
Totally. And-
medicated.
Yeah, and I think for Taylor's case, I think it depends on his consuming habit as well.
Right.
Because
Tolerance.
his consuming habit already trained, his system already trained by the concentrate. And going back to flowers, potency would be a very big factors
Yeah.
for him.
For sure.
That's a really good point that you brought up, both of you guys, because I think when I go into stores, it's like, honestly, is I look for both. It's like there's some strains I'm really partial to. Like you said, the flavor that I just like am craving it. Sounds ridiculous, but I'm like, I want the Skittles because it tastes phenomenal, blah, blah, blah. But there's other times that like I'll ask them and be like, I'm guilty of it, where I'm just like, okay, what's your highest testing one, or what are your, but this is what's weird though, is we all know this working behind the scenes though, that I have learned the hard way. And I think all of us can say is you see how much testing can be manipulated. I mean, and I'm not pointing at anybody or saying everybody does this or anything, but I'm saying that these these test samples that are submitted, like I said, it's a quarter of cannabis on average per whatever. And the way that I've seen certain people throughout the years manipulate test samples to get their potency higher doesn't mean anything either. Is like it's really weird, but I would say if I was to test everything raw on the market, like period, everywhere, is I bet that our average would be about 22%. And there's stuff that people are claiming is 40%, and I guarantee it would come up at 26, 27% if you were to actually take it apart and test it. And I know this is weird, but some of this information though that we're getting fed as indefinite and certain information is not. And I think that there's a lot of people putting their whole beliefs into these results either way. And I honestly think that cannabis is this beautiful thing that we are able to, like you said, Jenny, with tolerance. Tolerance is a huge factor. Is like, say my parents, this is weird, but they're not smokers. And if I wanted to bring something to an event that they were having, is I can't bring weed that's testing at 27% and be like, good luck, guys. Is like, is they would want something that would be around 12 to 15%. And this is weird, but that would give them a positive experience, probably a lot more than like having something really potent, if you will. And I think there needs to be more diversity across the board. Is when you see like hemp, this is one thing I can't stand either, is like CBD and hemp products, is they've isolated into this category. But honestly, I think it's a lie. I'll be transparent on that, is you need the two compounds together to actually get the CBD to initiate, to even adhere to your body, to your endocannabinoid system to even start working. So even if there's low numbers of THC, say for instance, with your CBD, is I just think there's so many compounds and so many components that go into this truly, that as much as we think we're diving into it, it's like we're not testing for everything. We're testing for the things that we're seeking answers to. But there's way more that this plant offers. And I think everybody's personal bodies and taste buds, like it's just strange to me, but I think that that's the beauty of what is diverse in this market and what gives us the opportunity to brand and come out.
Very good point. Very good point. I think we are pioneers of this industry. As a technology company, that we are doing our best every day. Yet there are lots of things that we haven't even looked into it. And that could be something that later on been explored by some higher level of technology company, scientists. They should look into the things and understand why human being would have this kind of impact as of that one. And that's the next level of scientist job. I think so. I believe so. I know some companies, they are starting to look into things like that. We are doing things based on our experience and also based on what we understand and what we do R&D with the current business setup. There are lots of aspect of this plan, and also the processing need to be studied down the road. And if we look into some big company like tobacco company, cigarette company, how they process their cigarette, how to make those standardized. That's perfect example.
I love that you say that. It's funny to me that cannabis is always compared to alcohol, because I see no correlation, to be honest with you. Like, I know people are going to hate me saying this, but I see a lot more similarities with cigarettes. It's like if we were going to, and I'm not saying that cigarettes can cure cancer or like help you, but
right, it's just how they dose and how they make it consistent. And it's funny that when you look into all the big players in this industry right now, all the big brand name, what did you find? Edible company, processing company, drink company. As they are a food processing company, they are drink processing company.
You're right.
Literally,
Yeah.
they can make consistent products. However, look into grow, look into concentrate company. We are learning and we are exploring the technology part of cannabis.
When even Jenny, I've seen you at your facility, you've been doing pheno hunting. Is like,
Right.
just while we're talking about that though, is I've noticed is when you do your first round of seeds, for instance, from a strain that you're pheno hunting, is they tend to test lowest the first round that they're ever going to probably test. And by that third round, they'll start stabilizing out and you'll start honing in on what you're really looking for. But like I've noticed that they go up, say, 3 to 6% in these little increments of different cannabinoids. It's not just black and white THC or something, but you can see them as they stabilize out, they'll start to mature in potency. Or if you really have a harvest that's super dialed in, it's like they'll come up with these great numbers and these great things. But then the second that you have something, and I'm not even going to extreme like bugs, but say you have like a climate issue, like, or your AC goes out in the middle of the summer, is you'll see like those numbers kind of go down or drift a little bit for just that temporary harvest or that temporary batch. And I think those are things too that I've seen kind of be factors for commercial grows as well. Is like
Totally. For the pheno huntings is a very expensive setup. Pheno huntings usually take about 10 to 11 months to complete the whole pheno hunting. It is heartbroken. You know that you raise up some kids and later on you have to kill them. That's their life, right? That's the nature of pheno hunting. And by doing pheno hunting, that's a way we understand how the gene and how the DNA, how the hash strain can play and grow.
You're right.
So if we are not picturing ourselves as a technology company, pheno hunting could be something that huge to damage the business income.
Metric alone, I feel like when you do these pheno hunting projects and you have to do your batches and your testing differently, if you're crafty, we all have our ways. But I feel like if you're doing this where you are doing it by the books and you are, say you want to pop 80 different...
think about that part. Just knowing that all these kids you put into the garden, and you know for sure some of them may not give you the best result.
You go in knowing probably half of it, if not 75%, is not.
Oh my goodness! Yes,
I mean?
Yes. Usually, pheno hunting at the end, we would just say 2 to 3. I've seen 2 as average, and for Wilson Zero, we have about 21 phenos.
Wow,
21 phenos, and some of them during the grow they could cause the damage to the whole garden. And that's right. Right? And that's no joke. If we don't see ourselves as a technology company, if we see ourselves as a cannabis company, we always look into dollar amount. We always look into ROI. Those kind of things. It's a heartbroken process. However, to understand the growth process, to increase the hash process, pheno hunting is a must-have.
Do you think, Jenny, that that's kind of like one of those niches, again, with the Connoisseur Club and some of those things that like you're creating by creating your own genetics and really taking the time to do these pheno hunts, though, and the expense? Do you think that you're investing in that portion specifically to stand out in the market where somebody can just come to your location or just come and buy your jar because you guys have a strain that nobody else has that everybody wants?
That's a good question. I think for business owners, we need to think about it and have a very clear path for where that we want to lead the company to. All right. There are tons of ways that we set up business. It could be a cannabis company. So we focus on yield, we focus on quality and yield, we focus on market quality and yield. We focus on brand, market, quality, and yield. And also there's another way that we focus on technology, building up SOP, and complete the whole book for the grow as much as possible, as detailed as possible. And when it's time for us to release the technology through some other channel, that could be valuable. That's a way that I see it.
I'm so sorry, Jen.
No problem.
Do you think that it's been difficult for you, like with your standard operating procedures? For those that don't know, SOPs is like I've struggled with this consulting is like I write SOPs for companies, and the hardest part is I'll have somebody on the staff like go take that SOP and go give it to all their friends and go give it to their cousins and be like, this is my SOP. And they'll share all of your information, all your secrets, all of these things. And it's weird is they'll claim it's theirs. That kind of stings sometimes, but then but then they'll take this information and spread it out. And it's really weird is I've had to learn that I have to accept that like knowledge is power and that you're going to share, and some people are going to know
knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power. And that's exactly, but does it intimidate you even, Jenny? Like when you have a company that you're keeping these things very exclusive to your company and like you have your staff and your employees, like, is there a certain like fear or protocol that you have to keep it tight to just you guys? Or are you kind of just like, well, if it gets out, it gets out?
All right. That's a very good question, right? That's a very good question. And for business owner, that's something that we need to think about once we have, hunting, once we have something very specific to the company. I think number one, make sure that your team care about the company. They put company's benefit in front of their own benefit. I think that's number one. And the second thing is put in the company policy very clear that I have zero tolerance about stealing. All right, if I know it, and it happened in the past, there's no negotiation done.
Don't ever call me again.
Don't even yes.
Don't use my name. Don't say we know each other.
Right. It's more like it's not yours, and don't steal.
I think you worded that so perfectly though, and I hate to touch on this like that, but for reals is I think it's something that again that people have to respect when you're given secrets, and it sounds weird, secret tips and tricks, like all these different things is people I've noticed that haven't worked for it are really careless when they receive it, and they're very like egos. This is weird, but we've touched on this a little bit in the show is like I've noticed that some of the most arrogant people take everybody's tools that they've been given, and that's great, but they'll take them and they do have this way of kind of throwing everybody else under the bus to get ahead temporarily. And I've seen all those people come and go in the industry plenty of times. But I think that it's important, like you said, with this culture moving forward, though, and as a practice, as all of us that are left here and working together in collaborations, like you said, so important. But I think people really, really need to understand, to me, that when we're sharing plants, it's something that I think we've all drifted from. Is like this used to be such a private and illegal thing that it was so secretive and it was such a tight group, and now it's gotten so expansive. Right. And I think we've gotten sloppy. We've gotten sloppy with etiquette on how to share these tools and how to work with one another. Where I think it's really important, like you said, that if you work for a company and you're working with a company, even if you're the one orchestrating some of this information, is really understanding the privilege it is for somebody to let you into their space, in their garden, any garden, is
right. And also for business owners, we need to set up a business in a very professional way that try to eliminate those kind of things. If there's anything that valuable to the company, any quality, any marketing credit, it should go with the brand name.
I love it.
We need to have a good brand name and put all the good things to the brand so that, all the things, SOPs, it has a way to put it together. And also as a company that you always move forward with your R&D, move forward with your research full speed. When you run, this is a time that if you think this is a race, this is not the time that you look around you and see where's my competitor at, or where's my strain get out to the black market, who did it or what. You focus on your own path.
Right.
Go full speed. And once you have your full speed, no one can beat you in that race field.
So many people that need to hear that. Did you see that moth fly by? Sorry, it's moth season up in this house. OG Tyler, we can't leave you out. I don't want to leave you out. I'm such a chatty Cathy.
All right, I can wrap it up.
Well, do you have any questions for Miss Jenny before we wrap it up tonight?
Where did the name Dutch Botanicals come from?
Great
oh my
question.
goodness, very good question. And okay, I took over this business when it failed.
Wow.
When it failed, messy failed. I've never seen a business setup could be failed in that way. And I came in, and the previous team who run this company was a Dutch guy. So he called it Dutch Botanical. I didn't change the name.
Wow.
I want to keep the name to remind myself that, Jenny, you need to do a good job. If anything could happen to the company. And put all in.
Dang.
Do not give up. Do not fail. That's the thing I have in my mind every single day. Do not fail.
Awesome.
That's the
That's
name
cool.
coming from.
That's cool.
Yeah. Sometimes people ask me, "Oh, you're not Dutch."
Yeah.
And yeah, that's where the story coming from. And I want to spend 1 minute here
Please.
and try to tell our community that starting from May, that we have monthly event. So May was actually starting from April. April was our Colorado Connoisseur Club celebration. And that was April 20. We established the club. And right now the club is grow. And I really appreciate Colorado community. And May was the Asian and Pacific Island culture appreciation. It turned out huge. And I really appreciate it. It was pouring that day. And we have the whole Tetra Lounge full. It was awesome. In June 25th is Colorado Glass Artist Appreciation event. So we have local glass artists come over with us, and we'll celebrate together. July is Living Soil Grow celebration. I'll try to invite all the facilities in Colorado that using living soil to grow, and let's get together and host a community, a nice event. And August is a time that we celebrate female.
August is big.
Female professionals that in cannabis industry. We want to nominate female professionals that who work very hard in this industry and been doing a great job and contribute to the community.
I love really quick, Jenny, because I do want our audience to know, because we do need your support. Is it's gonna be a while. It's gonna happen in 2024, but I'm going to be working with Jenny on doing a female competition. Just a cannabis competition. We might branch into hash too. But I feel like I'm really excited for August. Because I think there is females out there doing it, but I think that there's not a lot of females that their husbands haven't previously been in the industry. And I'm not discounting them either, but it's nice to see women that have made their own paths in this. And I think the unity of coming together and being able to truly support each other is exciting.
That'd be so cool. And also for this year, we started today the pre-710 Life Rosin stock up special for the Connoisseur Club. So it's like $20 out the door per gram for the 90 EU quality. So please go out there and grab those.
Real fast with the extractions, because I'm so sorry I didn't touch on this earlier. Jenny's coming back on the show. We'll dive into all of it deeper. But with your hash, Jenny, is for the people that haven't tried it and they hear from everybody that they have the best stuff, is like what really makes you guys exceptional as far as the solventless processing? How can we get these people to come and sign up for the Connoisseur Club? What do you think, honestly, makes you stand out the most against some of your competition with hash?
With hash, again, Tyler is the expert. I think what makes us outstanding, number one, is all the technology. From the lights, from grow, from nutrient, from SOPs, and also not cutting corner, no matter what happened. It's just follow the SOP. Do not cut corner. And also, I think pheno hunting is helping a huge. with, we started last year, and right now all the phenols starting to give us a good yield, and that could make us create a connoisseur club with very affordable price and great quality. Let the connoisseur to appreciate. Colorado is very unique market. We have so many hash customers, and they built the tolerance. I have some customers that they can dab 1 gram a day.
Glob Squad.
and they need support. They need support, as those are not cheap, so expensive. So with 8 gram of purchasing from club, $20 out the door. I think that's phenomenal. And also running the business lean to support that line is big.
Is there a strain, Jenny, that we can just tell people to look for on the shelf? I'm sure it's all phenomenal, but is there a strain or a couple strains that you guys have had recently that they can look for? Awesome.
I think New York cheesecake, very gassy profile. Grumps is always good, sweet and strong. Nutcracker is the New York cheesecake and Grumps cross.
Ooh.
Sugar Shack, which is really good. Wilson Zero, yeah, that's the phenol. Wilson 04, that's the phenotype. And a lot more coming along.
Gosh, that's so exciting.
And I'm thinking about, when I get time, I'll ask the team to write a brief introduction about what's the cross and what kind of character that you can appreciate from different strain. I think that will be huge for the connoisseur. Connoisseur is connoisseur.
Yeah.
And we serve the connoisseur club with the quality products and also affordable price, because they commit into the club and with the subscription. I think that's huge. That's a win-win.
Beautiful.
And along with the Dutch Botanical Connoisseur Club is a group of business in Colorado, including Tetra Lounge. They support us huge on monthly event.
Tetra Lounge?
Yeah, Tetra
We'll post
Lounge.
that one too.
Yeah, they are phenomenal. They put the monthly event, make it really meaningful for the monthly gathering together and create that vibe. And also we have Mana Supply, we have Spark, we have Snackland, we have Crystal Leaf, and all those dispensaries that support us for the customers go there and grab their job. That's huge. Without their support, it will be very hard.
Gosh, that's awesome, Jenny. We're gonna post all those things so that people can find it here in Colorado, or just fly in and make a nice little trip. I think this will be awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jenny. I'm gonna be picking up some of Jenny's hash that we'll be smoking on the show. We'll show you guys the goods.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, guys. Well, I think we'll call it a night. But I want everybody to anticipate. Jenny is bringing on her and the team again. Tonight, I really wanted to talk to Jenny about all the things in Colorado and her company and business battles. But next time is I really want Jenny to be able to dive into all of her stuff, specifically on how you guys are running things, and have the boys come down and share their insights. And I think it's something I'm really looking forward to. And it's been such a pleasure, Jenny, having you on the show tonight. I can't thank you enough.
Thank you. I was looking for flowers on my way coming here. You are the one that I really look up for, in this industry. And it just, Sunday night is hard to find. But definitely I owe you on that.
No, Thank you so much. Guys, look for these jars out there. We are Dutch Botanicals lovers, and we will be putting you guys on our show as our little backdrop here coming soon. We got some new sponsors coming up as well. There's just all kinds of exciting
Awesome.
goodies.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Jenny.
Yep.
Tyler?
Thank you so much for coming on. Can't wait to have you and the guys back.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right, lover bees. Peace and love for now. See you next Sunday.
No.